The morning sun broke through the curtains of the small but warm home that had now become the maid's new place of refuge, and as she woke with tears still lingering in the corners of her eyes, she realized that her life, which only days ago had seemed like an endless cycle of accusations, humiliations, and the cruel weight of being treated as nothing, had been touched by a kindness so deep that she could no longer remain the same broken woman she once was. The kind stranger who had taken her in, offering not only shelter but respect and dignity, had unknowingly planted a seed of courage in her heart, and with each passing day she began to regain a sense of self-worth that the world had long tried to strip away. But the journey was not without challenges, for word of her dismissal had spread through town, neighbors whispering cruel rumors, accusing her of theft and betrayal, and whenever she went to fetch water or bread from the market, she would feel their stares burning into her back. Yet the stranger, whose name was Daniel, stood firmly by her side, reminding her that what people say cannot define who she truly is. And instead of hiding, he encouraged her to learn new skills, teaching her how to read, how to handle small accounts, how to keep records of goods, telling her that one day she would stand tall and never have to beg anyone for a chance again. And though she hesitated at first, fearing failure, she soon discovered that her mind, long buried under fear and exhaustion, was sharp and eager to learn. And in that humble home where kindness replaced cruelty, laughter began to bloom where there had once only been silence. And yet, just as her wounds began to heal, fate tested her again when the family she had once served came into financial ruin. The same family who had cast her out without mercy. And they, now desperate, came begging to Daniel for help, not knowing that the woman they had destroyed was living under his roof. And when their eyes finally fell on her, shame and disbelief painted their faces, for she looked healthier, stronger, and clothed in dignity that they had never given her. And though anger burned in her chest for the suffering they had caused, she remembered Daniel's words that true strength lies not in revenge but in forgiveness, and instead of hurling bitter words, she quietly offered them bread and water, the same simple kindness they had denied her. And as they sat broken in front of her, the weight of their guilt crushed them more than any insult ever could, for they knew now what they had thrown away. And in that moment, she realized that her pain had turned into power, her tears into testimony, her brokenness into a light that could guide others who felt worthless. And with Daniel's support, she began to help other poor women in the town, teaching them skills, offering them meals, reminding them that no matter how society treats them, their value is unshakable. And soon her small act of kindness grew into a larger mission, a home for the rejected and forgotten, where love and respect were the foundation. And people began to whisper not of her disgrace, but of her transformation, calling her a blessing to the community. And those who once mocked her now brought offerings of gratitude, seeking forgiveness for their cruelty. But she had no space left in her heart for hatred, only a quiet strength that shone brighter with every passing day. And Daniel, watching her grow from a fragile, trembling maid into a leader who inspired others, knew that the world had truly been changed by the simple act of giving her a chance. For sometimes all a soul needs is a hand to lift them from the dust. And as the woman looked around at the faces she was now helping, she whispered in her heart a prayer of thanks, promising herself never to forget the night she was thrown out, not because of the pain, but because it was the very night her life began anew. And so, dear listener, if you too have been rejected, accused, or broken, let this story remind you that no matter how dark the night seems, the dawn always comes. And sometimes the stranger who shows you kindness may not just change your life but awaken the strength that was already inside you, waiting to shine. So if you felt touched by this story, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to bring you more stories that heal the heart and remind you that miracles are real.